Welcome to the YouTube channel, everybody. Today, we're going to be talking about leadership. And this is a topic that most people kind of find boring, but in spirit, it actually indicates order. So what is leadership? People think it's you telling people what to do in a polite manner, or it's you understanding what your team needs or your family needs. Leadership actually is part, or it's actually a process. Okay, it's a process, and the process itself, it includes the follower and the leader. It does not only include the leader. So if a leader messes up, the leadership process is gone. If the follower messes up, the process of leadership is gone. If you want leadership, structured leadership, number one, you need to know what style of leadership you want. You need to know if you want to be inside of a dictatorship, if you actually want to be part of a democracy and a bureaucracy, a laissez-faire. There are several types of leadership. And when I was growing up, people said I wasn't told how to be a dad or how to be a mom. That is not true anymore, at least in 2025. In 2025, there are so many free classes, so many YouTube videos like this one, and more that get actually in depth and teach you. There's state-driven ones that your district leaders, will give you for free, or paid ones that you can, dedicate your time and invest into your progress. But what ends up happening is people just end up complaining. So let's get into what leadership is. Leadership is the relationship between the leader and the follower. Okay, the relationship between both the leader and the follower. The leader is just the one in front. The follower is the one in back. No, there is no type of leadership process or style that allows both people to walk through the door at the same time. It's just not true. But quite often, and the next video will be about how leadership is under attack. But there's no style of leadership that both people are side by side. There's a style of leadership called a democracy where the follower has weight, like their voice, their opinion has weight. And this is something unique because this is actually what most people want. They want to be heard, they want to be validated. There's also another style of leadership called laissez-faire. Laissez-faire, it means let them do. And in this style of leadership, what ends up happening is the leader still is in the leader's position, but the follower makes the decisions on how to move forward. And an example is, let's say I am your manager at Taco Bell or KFC or McDonald's, and you are the cashier. You walk up to me, you say, hey, sir, I think we need to have a billboard out front. I say, okay, you're right. I'll order one today. This is actually a style of leadership, but it's kind of dangerous because the follower is not privy to the needs of the team or like the finances of the group, like the supplies of the group. This is a style that is seen in the Bible actually with Ahab and Jezebel. Okay, Jezebel ruled from behind and took none of the credit for what the decision making was done. This is called laissez-faire. There's a communal type of leadership where everybody has a decision, but they vote on what is supposed to happen, okay? Then there's a type of leadership that kind of gets everybody in a bunch. It's called dictatorship. People don't really enjoy being dictated to, This is what you will do. Well, people don't really like that. A common example of that is, in North Korea, right? You don't want to be in that style of leadership. How leadership is effective is the leader must know what style of leadership the following needs, not wants, okay? You are not supposed to give the following what they want. And this depends on your goals, okay? If you don't have any goals as the person in front, it's quite likely that the following will experience what is called disappointment. Disappointment is, it means to remove you of your appointment. It's not just being, oh, you let me down, oh, I'm unsatisfied. No, disappointment is the removal of your appointment. So if you aren't doing your job well enough, you can be removed and ultimately replaced. And this goes for the follower too. Okay, now let's talk about the leader. You have to have vision. You have to have a goal. You have to have something for your following to go off of. And this is what I tell men all the time that I'm coaching. You need to have a family vision. Okay, for the fathers or husbands, have a family vision. What's a family vision? A family vision is your educational expectations, your financial expectations, your religious expectations, your family reunion expectations, your family disputes expectations, who's going to take care of the elderly, how that's going to be handled, when somebody passes away, how that's going to be handled, all that. Okay, so this is what your family vision is about. And it's not set in stone, but listen, men, if you have at least this, confidence in your family, your woman, your wife, it will skyrocket. It happens every time, but don't be dismayed, okay? You as a leader, you need to be a man of integrity. You need to have a backbone. When you first present this to your woman, your wife, your family, they're going to look at you strange. Why? It's because every thought leader, every person who actually thinks is ridiculed in all of society, okay? So when you do this for your family, they've been taught more by the feminine, and I can probably guarantee this, they've been taught more by the feminine that freedom is valued, that they can figure out stuff on their own. You won't have any legacy to push out if you don't have a vision or a plan or something. Legacy as a leader in family, in business, is business. It's tangible things. It's not your emotions, if your children like you, any of that. Because if they like you or not, 2 generations down the line, if you don't have business, if you don't have any books, you don't have courses, your legacy is ruined. They're going to forget you. How many people listening to this can name their great-grandparents? I know me personally, I cannot. I cannot name my great-grandparents at all. So with that being said, you need to know that legacy is 100% about something tangible that you can pass down. Your family legacy is something simple that you can pass down. Like that is the start of family tradition. When do you guys celebrate Christmas? Do you celebrate Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, Cinco de Mayo? What do you celebrate? Do you celebrate anything? Are you a Hebrew Israelite? Are you Jew? Do you celebrate the Passover, Easter, all this good stuff? Like, your family needs to know this. A leader without an observable plan is almost certainly observed as somebody who cannot protect. Okay? Let me say this. When it comes to leadership, many people get confused because, especially with like child support and modern day feminism, many people assume that provision is all about money. Provision is about money. The word, so in the beginning was the word. Okay, so provision is about supplying the needs of, not supplying the wants. And look at the process of what that definition is. Supplying the needs. So provision does not mean to give. When you provide, you are simply announcing that, hey, I have food here. If you want to eat, this is it. And or I have food here. If you want this food, you have to pay me $1. That's provision. It truly is provision. Like I have love for you, son, daughter. If you want access to the love, you have to respect me. Okay, you have to honor me, like the Bible says, not worship but honor. If you know, but a man, a husband, a father who is unwilling to provide, meaning supply the needs of, not to give, he's worse than an unbeliever. And I truly believe that. Now, the word give, it means yield to pressure, yielding to pressure. Provision and giving are not the same thing. Giving, yielding to pressure. So when a leader is giving, he's like, oh, my wife has an expectation of a good man, and a good man in her eyes is a man that makes $300,000, so, and gives it all to her and keeps none for himself. Only he needs to pay the bills and give him all of his check. And deep down, he can't do that cheerfully because it's not provision, it's giving. Yielding yielding to pressure, meaning he's folding. He's like a dam breaking and water just spilling out. So giving is on the opposite of taking. The word take, it means to seize by force. Seize by force. So seizing by force, it just means that you are an expert thief. Okay, you are good at stealing, meaning either you force the money out of this man or the leader with your emotions, with your position, with the kids, with the business. If you're an employee or if you're on the chair of any board, you might cleverly extort the president, or the CEO. That can be real nasty. Provision is always a main topic of leadership. Provision is always a main topic of leadership. So many get it wrong, and so many think that there are just all these bad leaders out here. Okay, but if a leader is unwilling to supply the needs of, meaning if your boss cannot provide you the uniforms, if your boss cannot provide you the instructions on how to operate the cashier, if your boss cannot provide you, the food to cook for the customers, that's not a leader. They're setting you up for failure. Okay, fathers, mothers, aunts, uncles, whatever leader is out there. Leadership is voluntary, meaning the following. Okay, the following is the follower is the one who volunteers to be here. Okay, the follower is the one that volunteers to be here. It is not the leader. The leader only is providing the stage. That's it. Providing the needs of is like supplying the needs of. Execution comes from the following. Okay, execution is done by the cashier. The manager doesn't really necessarily have to work. Thus, like there's a role here. Now, I get it. A lot of people aren't really gonna appreciate this because, you know, there's a difference between a boss and a leader, and a leader gets down. Understand what type of leadership style you are in as a follower. Okay, if you're at work, it is not a democracy. I'm sorry, it's more of a authoritarianism. Okay, your manager has authority over you. You almost have little authority. That's just how it works. Okay. Now there's rules and regulation. You have to be treated well. You know, you can't be like called out your name. All this stuff. Okay, I understand that, and I'm not saying you need to be mistreated. So with that being said, leadership is a volunteer process. A leader cannot force the process on the follower. The process needs to exist first, and then the follower says, I want to be under this person. Okay? Jack in the Box, McDonald's doesn't come to your house and say, you need to work here. You have to say, I will do this for you. I will flip hamburgers. I will be this. I'll be your wife. I'll be here. Okay? Even as your child, you still have a decision. If you don't, you're disobeying, and you remove yourself from grace that your parents have over you. Like, you remove the covering that your parents have over you. Children are only innocent up to a certain age. Okay, and I'm trying to figure that out. But as soon as that age hits, you are able to sin. You are able to like navigate your own way, and you're able to get out of grace. Once the follower volunteers to be with the leader, then they must understand what being submissive is. And submissive is not docile necessarily. It's not obedient necessarily. Sometimes submission is asking questions for better clarity. Sometimes submission is taking charge and being in front. So what is submission? Submission, it means the mission underneath the mission. The mission underneath the mission. You cannot be submissive if there is no mission. Okay? The mission, let's say we are going to the beach. Okay? We're going to the beach, and I want you to, I go into your room and I say, hey, we're going to the beach Friday at 5 p.m. You say, okay, I will get the towels, I'll get the suntan lotion, the sunscreen, whatever you put on. I'll get the towels, I get the water, I'll get everything needed. That's called submission. Okay, I gave you the mission, you got the submission. Okay, it's not you blindly obeying. You could absolutely question if you don't have clarity. Okay. If you say, oh, we're gonna be going to the beach, and I just walk away, you have the right to say, hey, when, so I can get ready, so I can help you, plug the holes in the boat. Okay, submission is ensuring that the boat doesn't sink. Okay, plugging the holes. This is exactly what submission is, but so many people, especially online, it gets stupid online. People online just blab their mouth and say stupid stuff, arguing about what submission is, what it's not. It's so simple. It's simple. Plug the holes in the mission. If there's no mission, then there cannot be submission, only confusion. Okay? This is why I spoke to the leaders first. You got to have a family vision. If you're in business, you need to have a mission statement. If you're in business, reinforce that mission statement by posting it. Have quarterly goals. Hey, we want to have this many sales by, the second quarter or the third quarter or every quarter, okay? If you have, if you're a business owner, you need to have mapped out all the positions and their duties and responsibilities, okay? And that is not, it's not simple, or excuse me, it is simple, but it's not easy. You can do it though. As you can see, I'm in Alaska. I love this place. We are almost at winter. I love you guys, okay? I hope this has blessed you. Like I said, this was a boring one, but spirituality is not always about excitement, all right? Let me know what you think about this down in the comment section, all right? Now, if you didn't know, now you know.